Previously on Minecraft Bedrock Survival. It has been buried for thousands of years. A mystery, a secret. Now the most amazing discovery of our time is about to become the most extraordinary adventure of all time. Hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Minecraft Bedrock Survival. Now in the last episode we were looking at redstone clocks and different timing mechanisms, and in that episode I mentioned that this was building up to another redstone counter that I've created. Now whilst I was doing research for this particular episode when we were discussing the redstone clocks, I came across a video from Koala Steamed. I'll pop a link in the description, and he had made a redstone clock that would count for 871 million years, but as soon as I saw that clock, I didn't see a clock, I saw a counter displaying numbers in binary. So I studied his design and I came up with a counter, and that counter can be used to add up either individual items or what we're going to look at is entire stacks. But first of all we need to actually get there because the device is too big for our redstone testing warehouse or even for the outside patch. So what we're going to do is we are going to travel now to our creative test world, and to do that we have to go through the Stargate. So let's just hop over here and let's dial up our creative test world. There we go, and so there we go. Let's quickly now hop through the gate before it closes. So there we are. We have now travelled through now, and we are in our creative test world. So of course you can see there the train ticket mechanism there. I do actually have a faster version of it that's here, but it's not 100% reliable yet. But let's hop over here to our counter. See there the spawn bouncy. I've also been working in here on a newer version of the chest flusher. But I'll come to that later on in a later episode because it's I've, now with the extra knowledge now I have of redstone, I'll be able to compact it down even further. There you can see some of our other little builds as well that we've worked on, and some other things as well that I'm working on up here. Now here they are. These are the three different ones that we're going to have a look at, and these are our binary counters. So let's have a little quick look here. You can see the mechanism here. It's really simple to build if you want to build something like this yourself. It looks complicated, but once you've got one module done, you've just got to basically duplicate it. So let's have a little look here and see what we've got. There are two different SKUs of this. First of all, we have this one here is a subtractor, and this one here is an adder. And that is all dependent on where you choose to take the output from on the back end, but I'll come to that in a few minutes. First of all, as I said, this is a binary counter. Now, for someone like me who's, well, I've taught computer science before, and I was one of those people that wore until I got my Apple Watch, my watch was a binary watch that you can see here. So I'm not sure if everyone watching will be 100% with actually calculating things in binary and understanding it. So I'm going to give you a quick, literally 5-second look into how binary works. Because it's a binary. Our normal number system is a base 10, so you've got your 0 through to 9, and you've got binary is the base 2, so we only have choices of 1s and 0s, and this is what all of our computer systems all operate on. So it's basically just an on-off switch. So something can either be on, where it'll be a 1, or off, which will be a 0. And what we do is we build up these. In our case we're going to be usually just looking at 8-bit ones. So we have here, so if we have 8 numbers and they're all 0, then that of course will be 0. Actually, it'd be better off maybe showing you over this side. If we actually use the machine here for adding, it might be a bit easier to demonstrate it. So at the minute, everything is off. And as you can see here, this is probably a better illustration here. Each one of these lights will correspond to whether or not it's on or off. So when it is on, that's going to be a 1. And each time you build up a level, you basically double the number. So we have the first light will represent a 1, the second light will represent 2s, third light with 4s, and so on until we get to 128. And all you're basically doing is the ons, you are counting or adding up their corresponding number. So if we just tap that once, you see there we've got one light, and that is 1. We tap that again, it then adds up and you get a 2. We go on here, and then now we have 2 lights on, so now we're going to add 2 and 1, so that gives us 3. So next will be 4, so we only need that 1 light. So that cycles through there. And then what you do is this just builds up and builds up. So think of it as constantly building up. So as we push more, so you see we have 6 because we've got the 4 plus 2. Then we have 7, and then next will be 8 on its own. So you can see this just cycles up and builds up and builds up. I have a few more examples that I can show you here. I'm just going to reset this whilst I go and show you a few more examples that I put on our whiteboard. One thing I will say in Bedrock Edition at the moment, I put this here to try and make a little blackboard, and I wanted the text to be white, but that function is not available in Bedrock Edition yet, so we're just going to have to strain our eyes to see what I've written on this board here. But here's just a few examples. I've broken this just for visualization. I've broken them up into groups of 4. So as I said, you've got all the zeros there, which will be 0, and then we have here, we have this will be 0 0 0 0 1 1 1 1. Now the total for that is 15. So if we just go back over to our chart here, so you can see there 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 is going to equal 15. Now, if you're having a situation like that, is what I would do with my binary watch when I wore it, is I would look at the next number, which is 16, so then you know that it's going to be the one before that. So that would give you then the 15 as well. It's just another way of calculating it. And as you can see here, we have the opposing side as well there, because I've just mirrored that one onto there. So that would be 1 1 1 1 0 0 0 0, which would be 240, which we can see on the chart here. So that'll be 128 plus 64 plus 32 plus 16. And here as well, I've just put a few other little examples on the back to try and help illustrate this, just for anyone that may have not come across the binary system. I could go into immense more detail, but I just want to try and keep it simple, because there is a lot to cover, and there's a few other different methods as well, but we're not going to go into that. I just want to give you the basic outline. So here we have just some random ones that I popped in. So this would be 1 0 0 1 0 1 1 1. So in this one, we want to add up the 1, the 2, a 4, a 16 and 128. So here you can see we've got all those numbers there added up, and that gives us 151. And then just another quick example here. So here we have 0 1 0 0 1 0 1 0. So we want to add a 2, a 8 and a 64. So here we have the 64 plus the 8 plus the 2, and that one is 74. So I hope you just a quick introduction. If you really want me to give one of my boring old lectures on binary and provide, I think I still might have the drive that has the course material that I used to give out to the students. I may still have that available if you really want it. But anyway, going back to the actual counters. As I said, this one here is a subtractor, and as I said, depending on when the output is, or where the output is rather, is whether or not it will give you a subtraction or an addition. I didn't realise that when I was building it, because I couldn't think, why on earth does this keep on subtracting every time I press the button? But then of course it made perfect sense when I actually looked at it. But let's have a little closer look at one of these little counting modules before we actually go into the whole stack counter at the other end. Now these are really simple. You have your regular EFO clock basically, except where we have, in our case, one item inside of it. And what we have here is, now which one of these? Yeah, dropper with one item in, and when it comes across to here, Of course, this block here gets powered when there's an item in there, sends a signal through here, which then tells this dropper to pop an item into here, which will then flow straight back in because the hopper is pointing straight at it. But in that time, the comparator here will get a signal, it will send it out, and what we'll do is it will unpower. Actually, I need to turn the reset off, don't I, because we left it to reset. I'll come back to the reset system in a second, because it's not really relevant to us. It's just for convenience. When an item comes into there, that will get a flash here, which will power these two lines, which will then unpower these two redstone torches, which will allow this item to move once. And that just keeps accumulating and accumulating over the course of time here. Now, to get the output from here, I've chose to get the output from above by just using a sticky piston with a redstone block. And depending on whether or not you take the redstone signal from here, or if you take it from here, governs whether or not it is an adder or a subtractor. So you can see here we have this one here which is in this block, and that one there which is in the block behind. There is other methods, of course. I mean, you can use, as we've got over here, we've got redstone torches to invert the signal, but just for a quick demonstration purposes, you can see there the difference. It's just by that one block whether or not it adds or subtracts. But what I'm going to do is I've rigged these little quick hopper clocks, and I have this locked out here. So I'm going to quickly turn this on, and these numbers will go up or down very, very quickly, and you'll be able to see hopefully the accumulation effect as well from when we were discussing the actual binary numbers before. So you can see here that is slowly adding up 8, and then it builds up the next set of cycles, and then almost, yep, then we're into 16, and that will just keep doing over and over. And you can see here, if we go behind, this little piston here throws this observer out, which then just throws a little redstone pulse, which same again, it just allows that to flash for a second there, allowing that to go back and forth. And you can see here the same modules, because each one of these two layer modules is identical, and you can see as the signal propagates through. So let's just turn that off for a moment just by locking the hoppers and let it settle. And there you go, you can see we have at the end here, this was counting down, so what we have here is 128 plus 64, which is 192, and of course with everything being a total, if all of these were on of 255, that's going to leave us with 63 over here. Just like that, of course, going back to that other method as well as adding these up, we have 64 here, and these ones are full, so we know that we're one off. So yeah, so that's right. Because these machines as well, I'm surprised actually that they actually keep perfect pace with each other. I built this a month ago, and I just keep on coming here to play with it, and it just keeps on keeping pace with it. Can of course as well, if I'll just flick that one once, and you'll see as well, this adding 1 will take us all the way up to 64. And then of course the cycle will continue again. But we want to now have a look at the actual stack counter. So let's just quickly trigger that into reset. Actually, I'll show you what the reset does actually whilst that's active. Oh, actually no, that wasn't the reset, that was the... the lines aren't charged. What happens here is we have, there is better ways of doing this, but just for the sake of this being a testing world, we have here a redstone signal and the redstone signal at the limits. So these little tracks here are basically just so the redstone signal ends here, and what this does is it allows this torch here to be unpowered, which will force the item to flow into here and stay in there, so it can't actually get out. So that allows us to reset the clock, and that's why as well it has to cycle through each of the numbers as well as it resets, because each of these then gets re-triggered and passes the signal up, so it has to undo itself every single time until the system settles at the very end. Right, so let's knock that off, and let's have a look over here. This is the final model. Now, what I've done here is I've put the output for both adding and subtracting both on the one panel, just so that we could see it all in one place. And all I've done for that is very simple. I've just simply taken the signal from here, I've then put that up there and inverted it, just to give the signal there. So there's a lot of complicated stuff that looks like, anyway, complicated going on here. It's not. Most of this is just to do with the reset system, so I didn't have to keep on manually changing anything. So what we have here is pretty much the same system as what we had before, except it has one extra module. Now, very similar to before, of course, this is the piston which pushes the observer, which gives a little redstone signal out, which allows these to turn off and allows one item to flow. And because we wanted to add stacks together, we have one stack, so it will take... actually, let's go back a little bit to the input. If I put an item in this chest, it will pass through here. I just put a little item elevator in here. It's not really relevant, it was just because I put stuff a bit low. And as items pass through here, one thing as well, you'll see our regulator from the last episode. Now this is a free regulator, so it means every 3 item moves, it will allow an item to pass through, just to keep it to a steady pace for testing. But anytime an item comes past here, of course you get the signal out, which then sends this up here, which allows one item to pass through here. And every time a whole stack passes through, this will flip and it will send one little signal through here, and that works on the opposing stack going in the other direction, which will allow this to move by 1 so this will add 1 every time a new stack passes through this counting checkpoint. So now this takes quite a long time to go through because obviously you're putting through full stacks. I'll show you as well, just a little thing on here as well. This little channel here, the yellow, is for resetting, and here I put our redstone pulse extender that we built in another episode, so that just goes on and that resets and allows this to to reset all these back to 0. But also what it does is, because there's an issue with this having a full stack, it won't reset properly. So what we have to do is we have this little insane little rig. Actually, let's if I just take half of those out and I'll put that half in there, and I'll trigger a reset, and what happens is the redstone block, no matter where it is, gets pulled up, and once it gets pulled up, the redstone signal allows to come around from the reset, and it pushes it back here because the redstone has to end up here when it resets. So let's just quickly reset this before we actually fire up the stack counter. So there, you just managed to capture it there, and what will happen is once this is fully passed across, the slot will open so that the redstone block can then be pushed back down. So if we just hang on a brief moment, there you go. So the redstone block now is ready to go back into position for the reset, and that'll just take another moment just whilst this clock ticks down. And wait for it. There you go, and that's it reset, and that's it ready to start counting stacks again, or subtracting stacks if you're counting down memories to getting your whatever item memories that you might be counting. So what I'm going to do is, I think I have some items in here. Right, we're going to get rid of all this junk out of my inventory first. Okay, that's the inventory clear, and what we have here is 9 stacks. And I shouldn't have really put in 9 because it's going to take a while. So what's going to happen here is you will see the items, there we go, they're now starting to go up, and every time an item passes through, you can see the signal is going through here, and you can see there it is adding up and adding up. So at the minute we have nothing, and we're just going to have to wait a moment whilst this adds up. There we go. You see there that now is counted to 1. So if we go through here, we have that one new stack, because these ones were here from before, and this is the next one starting to add through. So let's just see for one more. Stacks have been counted. So if we come through here, so there we go, there's our 2 stacks and the next one building up. And this will go on and on until all 9 of those stacks have gone through. But I'm not going to sit here for that, because all it is, as I said, is just an accumulation of that. So is there anything left in here? No, we'll just let that run. But you can see here, it looks complicated, but it really isn't. Just fly across all these different units here. You can see the reset system in there. But what I'll quickly show you now is one module and how to build it. Because once you've got one module, that is all you need. Because all you're going to have to be doing is simply adding more and more, basically, of EFO clocks with a little bit of extra on it. So here is one module that I've already built, and this is what we're going to build up the design from. So you can see there, I'll grab a screenshot, because I'll stick, of course, these screenshots on my website so you can get a better look. And this, of course, is a dropper, because I can never remember dropper or dispenser. Ignore what I'm building here, because I'm trying to rig one of these, which is only 1 block thin, for these modules to make it super compact. But I'm having 0 success. I mean, none of this here works whatsoever. So completely ignore that. I don't know what on earth I was doing here. I was trying to reduce the signal. Yep, ignore that as well. So let's have a look here. So what we want is just a basic EFO clock. So let's grab there. So you've got the got a cow there shouting at us. So here we have our pistons. I'm just gonna have to hold shift and do that. Sorry, not our pistons, our hoppers, and want those to sit on top of our redstone torches. And then we will pop those in there. We will get comparators and pop those on either side. Next up, we will put somewhere for the signal to go. We will pop a dab of redstone on the back of there. This is 6 across, I should say, just for the basic EFO clock. We did discuss how to looking at these in the previous episode there. Right, let's pop a sticky piston on there, and if you can just see the hitbox there. Oops. Stick a block of redstone, and then we want to take a piston output and pop that on the top. We will put that there, and we can just take another little output coming out here. My middle mouse click is really not wanting to cooperate today. Just use those there just to guarantee the signal coming out, and that's the basic element of that. We will pop that in there, and then all you need to do is we will get our dropper and have it facing out this way. We will then take a hopper, and if the lag doesn't get me, and I'll put 1 item in there. You just need 1 item in there, and it will just keep on flowing back and forth into there. We'll then take an output from here, and tell you what, I'll just get one of those so that I don't have to go through the inventory. So we've got a redstone torch, and I will grab a comparator, and I also put a repeater in here. I don't know if you need that in Java, but it was causing an issue not having a repeater there in the Bedrock edition here that we're playing. And then let's see, we'll just pop that out there. So what will happen is, if I just take this item out here, every time an item comes into here, a signal will come along here, and you'll see them turn off, which will allow the next module to turn off. So there you go, so you see you get that little flash there. Let's just take this out here, and what we should see, did I put an item in here? Yes, we have 1 item in there, is this side here will be allowed to change. And to be honest, we could just keep on doing that back and forth, but that signal will of course be generated by the other side here. So we have there the ability as well to reset it, and you can see there the modules just keep on going back and forth, and we have a couple of items in there just to show this in a slightly slower method. But there you go, that's the basic premise of it. So as I say, you just simply build up these modules over and over again as long as you want. You don't have to do an 8-bit if you want to go really far. So what we're up to now, actually, just what we're looking at here. So we have a 4 and a 1. So that should be 5 full stacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're about to get number 6, and probably changed whilst we were over there. Yes, it did. So that's, as you see, that's slowly getting through all of those stacks there to get to our 9. What I'm going to do now is, though, is we will take these out, and I will trigger a reset. And I'll tell you what, whilst that resets, we'll come over here, because you can change the length that you want. I mean, you could just have this as a single item, but what I'm going to do is we'll put it as 4. Hopefully we'll be able to see that should have enough time to allow it to reset each time and show you the full number. There we go, it's ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set this away so that it sends a signal nice and fast, and every 4 of those we will get the number advancing on here.
Rages around like an ocean in my head, because there are so many things that I left unsaid. I can almost feel you walking in the distance, but I know that it's not reality. If you are
So there we go. I hope that helped you illustrate the building up as well of the way the binary numbers sort of build up in their cycles over and over again, slowly accumulating more and more as it gets higher and higher. I should have really sat here during that time lapse, and then you would have been able to see it all nice and close up with the corresponding numbers. But of course you can see that here now, just for these last couple of cycles here, that we'll let it go through. See here, that cycle now is built up, and it's going to go on to 16. You hear them flicking over, and then we have the 1 for the next one, and then so on and so on. So let's just deactivate that one for now. Actually, we'll just leave it running, and we'll show you from the back here as well, just so you can see a little bit more before we finish up on the episode for today. So as you can see, this is the fast one, which has only got 1 item. So this one adds every time it gets a signal. I think it just to me this looks really, really cool. As I said, when I saw that what was his name again, Koala Steam, when I saw his clock, the only thing that I saw was a counter working in binary. As I said, just depending on where you take the output from is dependent on what whether or not it adds or subtracts. You see their little signals bouncing back and forth up there as well. So there we go. I hope you like this little look at the clock. If you want to build something like this in your world, I think we will probably build something like this somewhere in our world, just for some fun somewhere. We'll think of something. Maybe it's in the achievement park. Maybe it's every time someone comes in, we can have it add up. Maybe it's 1 every time someone visits the park. But we'll discuss that later on. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. So don't forget to rate, comment, favourite and subscribe, and I'll be now journeying back through the Stargate back to our world, because I have a lot of cleaning up to do in our redstone testing warehouse. So let's hop back over here and we'll head on home. Assuming this time I get the right address to dial back, because last time we went, we wound up in the Java world. Before the gate changes its mind, because this gate is not as reliable as the one actually in our world. Ooh. And we've landed back, rough landing though, back in our world. So there we go. Oh, it sounds like the gate is about to deactivate as well there. So, should say as well, I actually added that automatic thing in there underneath as opposed to when we actually built this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that look at a binary counter. We may hook it up to our sorting system, which I've been doing a little bit more work on. But anyway, that's all for today. So don't forget to rate, comment, favourite and subscribe. And I'll see you all next time.